In the world of business building, we often wonder if it could get any more complicated. GRC, GDPR, ESG, zero carbon, green hydrogen, cybersecurity, and big data. Let's not forget the long funding processes that can make you crazy. If you are a world changing founder and innovator, how do you connect with the support that you need to move ahead? Well, this podcast puts the people, planet, profit through partnerships theory to action by helping you to see opportunities in every episode to create a meaningful partnership. The innovators, experts, and diplomats we interview are all looking for partners, and that could be you. No time like the present to find out. So, welcome to Frontrunners Innovate with your host, global business developer Mary Kurek. So, hello everyone. Today we are connecting you with another connector and a really, really good one. So, I'm excited for you, and I already know him, so I'm excited for me too. As innovators, though, and business owners and world problem solvers, because that's what I call a lot of the folks in my community, we can never have enough opportunities to meet the right types of people. And today you're going to get to meet someone who is a genius at doing that and creating those opportunities. So I am Mary Kurek. I'm president of Frontrunners Development, a global business development agency that connects business impact partners. Today's guest, though, is Ben Albert, and Ben is the CEO, the founder and CEO of Balbert Marketing, and also the founder and podcast host of his own really great podcast called Real Business Connections, and also brand new co-founder of GrowGetters, which is particularly what we're going to be talking about today. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. And I'm going to ask Ben to talk a little bit about his background, what brought him into this interesting world of connecting and creating podcasts and being really good at it, because he has this sort of formula that helps people with how to make those connections in a public way. So, Ben, the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks, Mary. You're the connection queen. So I'm excited and honored to be here with you. I think you used the word genius. It's the second person that's used that word today. I'm gonna accept it, but hopefully we reach that level. But ultimately, I'm just an ordinary dude figuring stuff out as we go. I joke that in my career, I get to ask questions for a living. Get to ask questions and be curious because you touched on it. Balbert Marketing is all about finding solutions to often complex problems and integrating marketing plans. And then Real Business Connections, I'm a host, and it's all about asking questions to get the wisdom from the people who have it to the people who need it. And I put myself in that needed category. I'm a student like everybody else. And you mentioned Grow Getters. That's just asking the question, what's the best way to build a community of like-minded people that are growth oriented and want to better themselves, and how can I help bridge that gap and serve? So I'm a student like everybody else. I don't know if I'm a genius, but we'll see.
Well, you are one to me, so there you
Thank
go.
you. I
So let's talk.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I found you via Nick Koziel's,
Mm.
podcast. I was on his, and I liked what he was doing so much that I wanted to steal some of his stuff. So I went on to his initial page for podcast and saw where he had you identified with credit and for helping him on some stuff. So I found you on YouTube. And,
Wow.
we had, yeah, and listened to some of the advice and some of the things that you were talking about and was so impressed. And then we had our conversation, and I knew then that you have such valuable information for people who are not just trying to get known, and some of the folks that are maybe checking in with us right now maybe are not interested in doing a podcast, but very much interested in connecting with people that are outside of maybe their reach a little bit. And that's the one thing I always tell people: if you don't have a vehicle for reaching those people or attracting them, then you need to figure out how to do that. And so for me, it was a podcast. For you, maybe podcast and a networking or a relationship building entity. Other people, it might be a magazine or some other media form. But if what you're trying to do is reach out further than yourself, you're going to have some kind of attraction vehicle. So talk to us a little bit about some of the services that you provide that help people do that.
Well, you nailed it. And I mean, I do podcast production services, but I'll step away from my services and just talk about the concept that you highlighted so well. And I have an acronym for exactly what you're explaining. I call it CAN, and I put a lot of C's. I'm a C guy. There's so many C's I love, but connect, collaborate, content, and networking. Create and network, content and network, connect and networking. A lot of people don't like networking. We talked about this before we jumped on. Maybe they feel it's icky. You said this before we jumped on. Networking is really just building a relationship. And sometimes it, especially for someone like me, a creative type, just talking to a stranger about nothing is just, I'm not good at it. But I ask myself, how can I create something while I network? How can I create content and collaborate and network? For me, it's a podcast. I also run a Rochester, New York, my hometown based blog. For some people, maybe they're a photographer and they want to get clients that are in the restaurant industry. So
Yeah.
you go in and you network and you take pictures of the food. They tag you in all those pictures on Instagram. You do that for 2 clients. And then client 3, you say, look at these photos I took with client A and B. I thought you'd be interested in getting, pictures of your menu as well. And before you know it, you turn that relationship, that co-value, into a sales value that you can ultimately start getting paid for your service. Or some people might want to do a research report and you're curious what your target connections, your target clients are looking for and what they need.
Mhm.
You just add value by interviewing 20 leaders in your industry or the industry you're looking to work in, put together a report, and then create the products and services for those exact people. So the question you need to ask yourself is, how can I create and network simultaneously? How can I add massive value into other people's lives? The easiest way you can do it is what I did with GrowGetters. Just start a networking group.
Mhm.
If you want a seat at the table and you feel like you're not getting that seat for X, Y, and Z reason, maybe you haven't been in the industry long enough, maybe you're not a good golfer, maybe you don't know the right people. Well, what happens if you bring your own table? What happens if you want to speak on your mic, on a mic? What if you just brought your own mic? So I think at the core, it's how can I add value to other people? What are my gifts? What am I looking to do? And how can I bring other people into the mission? So I'm networking all day, but it doesn't feel like networking because I'm collaborating and building a relationship with people.
Yeah, that's great. The blog that you're doing in Rochester, is that something that you're doing for the city or yeah. You know what?
I started it on my own. So the city
Yeah,
didn't hire me to do it, but it's
yeah,
a Rochester, New York business blog highlighting business leaders, similar to what I did in a podcast, Rochester
yeah,
Business Connections. But it gave me the capacity to, I'm going to nerd out, but it gave me the capacity to do really well with SEO and build
yeah,
long-term domain authority through a
yeah.
blog while I network and connect and build a relationship with these leaders. So it's just another way to add value into their life. Because as you know better than anybody, if you add value into other people's lives, it's going to
Yeah.
come back around.
Yeah. And that was brilliant, by the way. And the reason
Oh,
why I know
thank
that
you.
was brilliant, well, first of all, I'm a former Chamber of Commerce exec. So if they don't look for you at some point and say, hello, we need, yeah, we need you. Years and years and years ago when Twitter was, in its infancy, at least around my parts, I think I was the only one locally even knew what it was. And the only one that cared anyway around my part of the world. I live in a tourist sort of area. I live on an island on the coast of North Carolina, and
Mm.
I got the domain for my beach area, the name of the town, and I actually did called it that on Twitter, and developed a following because there were a lot of vacationers that were coming here and had been coming here for years and ended up meeting a lot of these people wanted to meet me like I was the ambassador of the beach. Somebody got stuck in an elevator in a local hotel and they could not, I guess at the time, they could not figure out how to get a hold of the people in the hotel, but they found me on Twitter
I was
and
going to say.
asked me to call the hotel. and get them out of another one. This gal's boyfriend that was a Marine almost drowned on 4th of July holiday, and she was looking for the people that saved him and asked me to help her find them. I actually was able to find her. There was two more Marines, and my husband, being
Wow.
a retired Marine from Cherry Point, helped me
Wow.
get to JPAO, Joint Public Affairs. We found the two Marines that saved him, and she was able to connect. And so at some point when you are, that visible, it's almost like they don't think of going to the government. They think of going to you because you're somebody that they know because you've been posting pictures. They know you. They know your dog. They know your favorite place on the beach. They know that you like seashells after a hurricane. They know, they know all these things. And so I ended up actually selling that account after a while. I did the
Mm.
same thing with another account there. So you build that following, and at some point, you become that sort of ambassador for whatever it is that you're building. So that was brilliant, and it also gives you an opportunity to meet those people that you'd never get a chance to meet. So you've done good, but I'd say that this is a way, like you say, of stepping outside of yourself and finding those people or attracting those people to you that you wouldn't think that you could. So talk to me a little bit more about GrowGetters and how you formed that. You're the co-founder. I assume there was another co-founder, and what you guys, you know, dreamed up when you came together and decided to do this.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Biernat and we both hosted podcasts. We were both networking like crazy at the same time. He had just launched his business. I had been in business about a year and a half. And this was like mid pandemic, kind of towards the end of the pandemic when we first launched. But we had been to a lot of networking events. I had done countless one to ones. And I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. When I jump on a one to one, I like to shoot the breeze a little bit. I want to understand someone's why. I want to understand who they are. What's the purpose? Like, not what their why is and their mission of their business. Like, what's it all for? Like, who are you serving? Is it your family? Is it like, what is it a charity? What is like, I want to get to know somebody. And so many events, one to one and marketing events just kind of felt like marketing networking events at times kind of felt like a pitch battle.
Mm.
And I've been to pitch battles. I like my part, but so many people are there just kind of taking notes, waiting for
Yeah,
their turn to talk. And
yeah.
I don't know if the growth minded connection in the relationships always built. Again, there's exceptions to every rule, but both of us had attended a lot of events that we didn't like that much. So we did what I talked about a moment ago. We're like, why don't we just start our own event and do it the way that we wish it was done more often? And I'm very introverted. I like the education end of
Yeah,
things. That was a big part of it. I was
yeah,
like, we need to have like keynote speakers, like a
yeah.
TEDx style talk, because what better way to connect than if we can integrate things we learn together? We can dive into how it's going to help our business, et cetera, et cetera. So we built Grow Getters where there'd be two speakers every session. It's currently
Hmm.
once a month. Maybe it'll be more in the future, but once a month two speakers come in. They give a 15 to 20-minute TEDx style talk. Then we go into breakout rooms for another 15 to 20 minutes. But the breakout rooms aren't there to pitch your products and services. It's to take one nugget from the speaker, one prompt or question from the speaker, and have a fruitful discussion, like a mastermind discussion with your peers. And guess what happens when you mastermind and connect with your peers about something brilliant? You connect, you make
Yeah.
relationships, you
Hmm.
network, you get into
Hmm.
what you do, but you help each other first before you get into how you can serve them. And I just think it's a great way that people tell me all the time I should be charging. I don't know how I get the speakers to come for free because it's a totally free way for people to come and
Hmm.
meet other growth hungry, network hungry people that want to expand their reach and better themselves. That's what the room's for. And again, we keep it super interesting. There's education and networking. So you'll get to talk about yourself, but you also learn something as well.
So tell me what types of people you're drawing, you're attracting, and give some details about how it rolls out. I mean, is it once a month, and how do they, how do people get involved in it?
It's the fourth Tuesday of
Yeah.
the month. The
Okay.
type of people we are drawing are people that are available at 5:30 Eastern time.
Okay.
5:30 to 7.
Uh-huh.
So this has been going for like 14 months, same time. I
Hmm.
don't want to change it and hurt momentum, but I might
Hmm.
integrate like a different time
Uh-huh.
because transparently 5:30 to 7 Easterns are right during dinner time for a lot of
Hmm.
people. For
Hmm.
Pacific and other countries it works out well, but
Yeah.
people that are available at 5:30 and really just people that are interested in bettering themselves in their career.
Okay.
Um, I have a lot of people that are like, I'm so sorry, Ben, I can't make the time, but they still sign up because they can get the replay of the speakers.
Ah, so you record it.
I record the
Okay.
speakers, the
Okay.
breakout rooms, and the speaker
Uh-huh.
Q&A are completely, no one will ever see that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have people that sign up just for the recording. So
Yeah.
that's just a testament that they're growth oriented business
Yeah.
people and they're looking to learn from each other. And they're available at 5:30 a lot of the time.
Yeah. At least some of the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in order to get, I mean, is there any vetting process, or they just sign up to come be a part of this opportunity? Tell us a little bit about that.
Very good question. And luckily, it hasn't required a vetting process.
That's good.
You
Cool.
make a really valid point, though, because anybody could just. Here's the thing, we want to be inclusive, and in
Hmm.
most environments, you kind of weed yourself out if you don't
Hmm.
belong. There has been a
Yeah.
couple people that have came in, um, and they didn't come back because it wasn't for them. I don't
Hmm.
know. But we don't have a vetting process in place. Great problem to have, but right
Yeah.
now it hasn't been a problem.
That's good.
We just have somewhere between 20 to 40 people every session,
That's fantastic.
and we never run
Mhm.
into any issues.
That's
Like
good.
you asked that question, I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't have a vetting, but I haven't needed one." But
Yeah.
I want to have that problem because if I have that problem,
Yeah.
that means a lot of people are
A lot of
showing up.
people, yeah, listening.
We want to impact as
Yeah.
many people as we can. So
Yeah. I think being open door. And so are you getting them from all over the world, or is it just from the United States?
all over the world.
All over the world. Oh, that's
I've
awesome.
had people jump in and you can come camera off and just listen. I tell people,
Hmm.
go to the speaker Q&A if you're not there to network. Just come for the speaker,
Yeah.
listen. I've had people like all over the place, Pakistan, India, come in and kind of just be a part of it. But traditionally, it's a lot of people from my network, so a lot of people
Hmm.
from the Northeast area. But everyone's invited, obviously, so people from all over the world.
That's fantastic. So is there a website? I mean, I know you'll give us a link or something like that that we can share with people that may be interested in jumping in. Um, but we'll direct them forward to that. But I feel like other than solving the problem of really boring, terrible conference networking situations, uh, you've come up with something that gives the two-sided approach. It's the opportunity to do relationship building that gets you to the place where you want to be in that nasty word networking, if some people think of it that way. It's an easy way to get into it. And is there a result in mind? Is there a goal in mind that you had with this? I mean, where you wanted to go with it beyond with, where it is right now?
You ask great questions that I have crappy answers to, and I love it. Uh, I'm I'm pleading. I'm kind of getting a get out of jail free on this one, but it
Okay.
was a very intuitive decision.
Yeah.
I knew that if I add value, I'm not keeping track. I don't keep score.
Yeah.
I want to add as much value as possible. And with my podcast and in my networking, I meet really brilliant people. And when I meet someone and I'm like, I want the world to know them, they've been on the podcast, but let's bring them into an event. Let's introduce them. And
Yeah.
there isn't a business, there isn't a strong business development structure. If you were to look at it, it's probably a cost center because it's a time allocation.
Mhm.
That being said, I just freaking love to do it. And I intuitively know that if I help people,
Yeah,
it will help me long term.
yeah.
I'm known as the connector when all I'm doing is hosting an event. Like, I'm not some special dude, but yeah, it's a great question because there wasn't a business plan. There wasn't a marketing
Mhm.
plan. I just knew intuitively that I wanted to help, and this is one way that I chose to do it.
I think that is a mark of a creative person, is that sometimes you're led by that creative process, not really knowing where it's gonna go, but knowing that you have to. You just
Yeah.
have to. You just have to do it. And, so I don't fault that at all, if there's no goal in mind, because I think the goal is gonna show itself if there is one. And I think you maybe are already meeting the goal, which is you're helping people, like you say, and you're giving them opportunities to meet each other that they need. They need.
You,
They just
Mary,
need it.
you gave me a brand new goal.
Oh, is
I
that
want
right?
I want it to be so big that it requires a vetting process.
Well, the only reason I brought that up is I had an experience one time in doing hosting a webinar for somebody who was fairly well known,
Yeah.
and somebody who was, let's just say, I don't know if they were cyber stalking that guy or what, but found out he was going to be on that particular venue, decided to kind of take over at one point.
My
So,
show.
yeah, hello, here I am. You remember me, right? Like, oh my gosh, here we go. So, yeah, I mean, you can't, if it's open to the public, it's open to the public. It's what you do. You just gotta know that you gotta roll with it. But uh, I wanted to give you an opportunity from all your vast expertise, because you have plenty, to share whatever else that you feel like might help people who do need to connect outside of themselves, other than uh, the GrowGetters for sure, but anything else that you are doing now under the marketing hat that you wear that you feel like might be useful for somebody anywhere in the world, because remember, we're very global. Everybody who works from the grassroots level of, a small community service organization to corporate to diplomat to, anybody out there. We like to say the world's problem solvers, innovators, particularly, who are very hungry about connecting, um, who tend to be very kind of linear in their connecting and need to be broader, think more diverse, because you're never going to solve a problem in the same space that you're in. It's always going to take somebody
Yeah.
outside that space. And I think sometimes they have a hard time seeing that. But give us some tidbits of wisdom, if you will.
Sure. And I'm going to go, this is going to help anybody, no matter where they are in their career, their
Yeah.
space. Um, I said it kind of earlier on. One of my biggest missions is to get the wisdom, the knowledge, the information, just those the loving pieces of wisdom from the people who have it to the people that are looking for it, the people who need it. And I'm a lifelong learner. So 9 times out of 10, when I'm not speaking, I'm putting myself in that need it category, that learning category. So my podcast really is my journey through business development, self discovery, networking, personal growth. I bring on people I want to learn from, and I learn something new every single day. But the reason it's a podcast is I get to document it and share it with everyone else in the
Mm,
world. Now, people can check out Real Business Connections. I'd be honored if they do. They can double down and listen to more episodes of this show. But my one piece of advice really is to dive deep into something that you feel like's helping you, to be curious, to be a learner. And then part two, to share it with other people. And it doesn't have to be this podcast. It doesn't have to be my podcast. Obviously, we'd be happy if you did, but it could be the book you're reading. It could be the quote that came up on your wall. If something meant something to you, be a bridge and share it with someone else, because I think one of the biggest things we struggle with nowadays is not getting the right information. And if you find something that really helped you, I'm willing to bet someone also needs that help. So learn, be curious, but don't do it in a silo. Share it with as many people. Knowledge is meant to be shared, it's meant to be spread, it's meant to be communicated. So whether it's a podcast, book, doesn't matter what it is, start telling people about it and spread the love, spread the energy, you know?
Oh, so well said. I love that. That was beautifully said. So I always ask this one question at the very
Mm.
end with my guest, and because I'm a connector too, is who do you need to meet to help you grow what you're doing? And that might be the grow getters, but who do you need to meet to help you move
And
forward, expand?
can can I give you a weird answer to that question?
Sure, sure.
I don't need anybody. I am happy. I'm living my life. Things are good. I'm about
Yeah.
to go camping. I don't need anything. That
Mhm,
being said, I
mhm,
like to align with growth oriented collaborators that
mhm,
enjoy connecting, creating things, making the world a better place, making ripples together. And you can come hang out at GrowGetters. You can send me a DM on LinkedIn. I'd love to meet anybody, but I wanted to answer that weirdly because I don't need to meet, like, I don't need more revenue. I don't need
mhm.
more friends. I've got more friends, but I got enough friends. But I'd love if this message, if me and Mary resonate, hey, reach out to us.
Yeah.
I don't need you, but I want you, especially if you kick butt. So anytime
Absolutely.
there's a good person, I want to meet you. Um, I joke about it, couples, they always talk about they're my better half. I don't want better halves. I want better wholes.
Mhm.
Ben's whole, Mary's whole, we're going
Yeah.
to be other holes. So if you're whole and only getting better, let's chat. I've never said that before, Mary, but let's rock and
There's a
roll.
quote for you. There's the quote. Fantastic. Ben, you are an original and I love it. I just love it. So thank you. Thank you so much for being on with me and sharing your wisdom and your expertise. It's extraordinary. You help people every day, and I'm so glad that I am one of those people. So thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. So, everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to it anywhere else that you get a podcast, go to www.frontrunnersinnovate.com. You'll get this and you'll get the links that he's going to provide us on how to connect with him and to connect with Grow Getters so that you can jump on board and have a listen and participate. And we want you to do that. Okay? Bye. Bye bye, then. Bye,
Bye
everybody.
now.